Hi, I'm Ali Patterson, and welcome to an all-new episode of The Fintech Show. This week, we're posing the question, just how well do you know your customers? A few weeks ago, I was lucky enough to meet global identity verification service Trulioo to talk about their host of solutions with a KYC focus. Cross-border payment specialist Payoneer also chime in with their take on modern security and anti-money laundering. Firstly though, at Trulioo's headquarters in Vancouver, General Manager Zac Cohen gives us all some advice when it comes to keeping up with the pace of change.
So Trulioo is a global identity verification service. We provide KYC, AML, and other identity verification services in over 100 countries today. We do this by leveraging hundreds and hundreds of reliable data partners all over the world in a seamless service, frictionless, a single API that anyone can connect to in the world.
Amazing, and that's of course how you're able to get such fast scale.
Absolutely. We help companies launch their compliance regimes and their identity verification programs within minutes all around the world. And we do that every day for payments, banks, and all different types of clients.
What 3 pieces of advice would you give to firms to make sure that they keep up to date and flexible for future changes?
Yeah, it's an important question because as we've seen, regulations are changing constantly. There's a lot of variance in what's happening, and it's very difficult to keep up. I think even structurally with things like Brexit, we never know what's going to happen in the environment as a business. So what it comes down to at the end of the day is uncertainty. And so how do we manage uncertainty and how do we deal with that when we have to comply with the change in the environment? So I think the first thing we always have to look to is partnerships and partners. I think a lot of people go out to the market looking for vendors, but you need partners that can help you understand, interpret what's happening today and give you a good feedback loop in terms of what's going to possibly happen tomorrow and how to prepare for that. The next thing I think is very important is interoperability. So we have solutions in place that need to be able to fit the variety of systems and the variety of environments that you do business in. And lastly, I think that when organizations are launching or are taking a look at how their systems are in place, you need to have a global aspect. When you just focus on a single market and you're prepared for change or exactly what's coming downstream in that single market, it's not going to work for the other areas of your business that might not be impacted by that single instance. So you have to have that flexibility. You have to have that versatility, and the best way to do that is to take a look at a global perspective so you can prepare for any of the changes that might be coming downstream.
Over in New York, Ian McNichol gives us some insight on the mission and methods of Payoneer.
I'm Ian McNichol. I'm the country manager for the US and Greater North America. I manage a team that's responsible for helping clients get onto our network to receive payments from a variety of sources. Often it's from an e-commerce marketplace. We supply a multi-currency receiving account, which allows them the flexibility to receive in a range of currencies and then send those currencies and then send that funds off if necessary to pay their VAT, their UK, their tax obligation if necessary, or a variety of other things they can do with it, or pull the funds back to their own account at a reasonable conversion rate.
Now bringing in new customers presents businesses with plenty of opportunities. Not all of them are positive. I wanted to find out more about the risks involved in onboarding. When it comes to the onboarding process, what element is the most susceptible to nefarious activities?
Yeah, it's an important question because fraud prevention is such an important facet of the online economy today. There are a few different pieces that you have to be careful of. Account monitoring, changes in an account activity. But for us, what we see the most important is really the account creation process. It's that first interaction with the end user. It's that first handshake. And so at that point, we're most susceptible to fraud because if you allow a nefarious individual or a bad actor into your system originally, it's going to be that much more likely that you have fraud problems after the fact. So in that critical moment of the account creation, that's when you want to implement effective tools to prevent fake individuals or bad actors from even entering your system and applying for an account in the first place.
How do you ensure the sort of KYC compliance across all the regions that you guys work in?
Yeah, it's KYC and any compliance in general is probably our number one concern, being cross-border payments and having such a wide reach globally. KYC in general is one of our largest investments and largest teams in the company. It's utmost importance, obviously, for a cross-border payments company. We have regular meetings with the different regions about what sort of fraud tactics are happening globally, and we use a variety of ways to keep up on different tactics that are being implemented. But I think the best thing is to learn from different regions, right? So something's happening in one part of the country, one part of the world, that's maybe implemented in another part of the world. We know both ends of the payment, which allows for a greater comfort level, because we do know where the payment started and where it's going, where traditional payment companies, they'll either know the sender or the receiver, but seldom they know both, to the point where they've done due diligence on them. So that's one area that allows us to feel breathe a little easier, but obviously KYC in general is something that we take very seriously.
Does that mean that when it comes to, for example, preventing fraud, for you the entire system is just seamless and you're not having to wait on other organizations to input information to you?
Yeah, so the idea with our KYC onboarding is that we've integrated many data sources, and the combination effect allows us to onboard clients extremely quickly, often within 24 hours. We also onboard the receiver, so that process is also very quick. So the combined effect, the client loves it, very frictionless as far as the onboarding process, and then they can get going into their payments, because the client does not want to spend a lot of time being onboarded. And often when they come to us, they've already got another option, so it's not like they need us to do a payment. They just want to use us because it's a more efficient way of doing a payment.
What are some of the steps to stop people getting in the door in the first place?
That's exactly where our specialization comes into play. So identity verification is key to that initial onboarding. You want to make sure that the individual accessing your service is real. It's very rare that a legitimate user, a real individual, will defraud or provide problems in your system afterwards. So the best technique is a comprehensive identity verification solution. And that will change depending on your user base, your demographic, your regulatory burden, all the various types of issues that companies need to address and make sure that they satisfy for their service. But what's important about all of that at the same time is to make sure that the user experience isn't taken away from. And so you have to find that balance between a strong compliance regime that identifies your users appropriately and securely, but also making sure that it's frictionless and quick, and that the user experience is enjoyable so that you get that great traction with your customer base.
And finally, some advice to those trying to weed out bad actors from their crop of customers. How can companies ensure that they're applying the best practices to prevent these bad actors, both in the long and short term?
You need to stay one step ahead of the bad actors who are using your service. And we see it quite often, where a new technology is launched and the first individuals to experiment are the ones you actually don't want. So I think there's a dual approach. You need to layer in your strategy. And what I mean by that is it's not a point solution. It's not a single technology. It's not a single process. You need a workflow that complements various stages depending on the user that you're onboarding. We've taken the approach to provide a marketplace so that you can access a variety of different tools and services within the same technology suite to take that into effect in and of itself. And then again, you must be constantly reviewing your user base to ensure that if something changes in the environment or changes with your solution, that you can then apply the appropriate safeguard along with that change in the environment. So at the end of the day, applying multiple tools and constantly reviewing is your best bet to help stop those bad actors from entering your system.
I think you sort of hit the nail on the head there. There isn't one magic bullet. It is a variety of, it comes down to ecosystem. It's having a variety of tools at your disposal to stop this.
Absolutely. And it's hard to do that. And there are many different regulatory technology solutions that can help. And so what Trulioo attempts to do and what we provide for our customers is that partnership model, where we want to provide a variety of solutions because it isn't one size fits all, but it has to be easily applicable and easily deployable for customers, everyone from a bank to a startup to everybody in between.
Thanks for joining us again for the Fintech Show. We'll see you next time when we're going to be talking about security.